gentlemen, welcome once again to the Fightersrep podcast. And this is episode 20. I can't believe it, but what I can believe is we've got Johnny Mercurio in the studio with us tonight.
Hey,
Coach
what's up,
Johnny, how are
everybody?
you doing tonight, brother?
Hey, how you doing, brother? I'm good, man. Excited to be on here. Talk to everybody that's listening. Haven't done many of these, but I'm just excited to be a part of Fighters right man. Super cool that I get to speak a little bit on you guys' behalf.
Man, I really appreciate it. And I'm gonna let them know a little bit, and you're gonna fill them in a little bit more because you're gonna do a better job than I will. But Johnny Mercurio, a staple of the Southern California fight community, running HB Fight Club, a coach who's already produced his first champion in the Lions Den through Milshawn Lathan, a guy who fought himself almost 20 fights professionally. From what I've seen, a winning record. You've done MMA. You fought for Bellator multiple times. You even did a boxing match. And that's pretty much all I've got. Tell me a little bit more about, who Johnny Mercurio is in a nutshell. Let Knucklehead Nation know.
Dude, that's tough. But honestly, I'm just a guy that's been around the sport for a long time. Started fighting when I was 19. That was a while ago, man. We're talking like 2006. Started
Wow.
to fight. Like, you see the landscape change. There's just the knowledge, the like, especially if I've always stayed in one place. I was always in Huntington. And something about Huntington that like a lot of people don't really know is we're the real, like, we're the mecca of MMA. We're the birthplace of MMA. We're the mecca of MMA. Huntington's been ahead of all of it. This whole Valley Tudo, I love it. Much respect, incredible. We've been having no holds bar fights, famously in Huntington, for a long time. It's like literally that's why when it first happened, so many gyms gravitated towards this area. Like, there's not a reason, like, per capita it has the most like strong MMA gyms probably
Yeah.
any other
Yeah.
town. Like, just town.
Yeah.
So Huntington's the mecca of MMA, especially in like with longevity and all that. And I've just been in the scene for a long, long, long time. I've seen a lot of people come, a lot of people go. Been side by side with multiple world champions, close friends with multiple world champions. It's something special to be with people as they rise, to be there when they get the call to the UFC, to be there, watch them get a belt, to see that, to be around that, to be like an intricate part of that multiple times for a long time.
Yeah.
You more than just what you do in the cage, you kind of like just establish a reputation in the community.
Yeah. Yeah. And, some of the gyms, I mean, at the very least, I know you've been, I know you've been, or you've trained at King's MMA, where Rafael Cordero, Master Cordero's gym. We've seen Kelvin Gastelum go through there. We've seen, nameless other fantastic fighters, like you said. I mean, that's Southern California's mecca, or one of the meccas for MMA.
King's
there.
MMA is one of the best MMA gyms on the planet. I mean,
Yeah.
if you look at the history and the fighters and the lineage that Master Cordero brings, and just being involved in that, I've been close training with Master Cordero since before it was called King's MMA. Just as a guest,
Yeah.
I've known this man, and just to see the talent that he works with, that he brings to that area, I mean, legends. Like, literally living legends. When you're in the same room as Anderson Silva, when you're in the same room as Vanderlei, when you're in the same room as, just Shogun, Machida, all these people that don't even seem real. They're all in the same room. You're sharing knowledge with them. Like,
And here's some other people that I believe have trained there or do train there. Chris Cyborg, Rafael Dos Anjos. We mentioned Kelvin Gastelum, Giga Chikadze, Marvin Vittori, Vanderlei Silva, Fabricio Verdum, and Yair. I think Yair Rodriguez. It says, and the list goes on of people that have trained there and actually do train there. And that's a great lineage to be a part of, Johnny. And now you've kind of gone out on your own. I believe, I mean, and you're doing this Huntington Beach Fight Club, which I gotta say, you got one of the baddest logos I've seen. I just love it, and it's not just flash, it's substance, man. Milshawn Lathan already in just 4 fights, you know, wins a title at Fightersrep, man, where there's no easy fights. You know what I mean? And you've had a couple other guys in the Lions Den that looked real good, Caden, Ian in the past. Kind of tell me a little bit about Huntington Beach Fight Club, when you started it, why you started it, and what's going on there.
Oh man, HB Fight Club. Like honestly, we don't really rely much on the fighters. I run movement therapy centers. We have special needs programs. We have a lot of programs that are on a much different basis. But the core, like the heart of what we are, is we have a fight team. It's small, but hey, if you want a fight team, don't you ever come up to me and say, "Oh, coach, I think I want to fight," and not mean it, because I'm gonna get you a fight, and I'm gonna expect you to fight. And no, I don't know who you're fighting. I know he's gonna make weight. I know he has roughly the same amount of fights as you, and go show me something. Like it's so
Mhm.
like, do you want to do this or not? It's kind of that. And if you want to, I'm gonna make you prove it. And
Yeah.
you know what? A lot of these kids, when you go up, they step up, man. They step up real quick. And like that's another thing that these kids like. One fight is equal to 6 months of training. Each fight you have, you get 6 months better. That equals almost 6 months in the gym. So if
Mhm.
you start fighting actively, you progressively get so good, so quick, especially at that young fundamental, like that first 6 year gap where you're just like soaking up everything. Like there's still days where you're making leaps and bounds.
Yeah, yeah,
You get them fighting and they get good quick.
yeah, yeah. And Gary, if you have any
Mhm.
questions for Johnny, you can jump in. I don't want to suck up all the air in the room,
Hey,
but
I'm soaking up all the knowledge he has because and,
you know,
and I get what he's saying because is certain gyms like I went to train boxing as a guy. He's like in there. He's like everybody says they want to fight until they get in there and they have to spar somebody. They want to hit the bag and all this other stuff. But when you have to get in there and get hit back and get in somebody, a lot of dudes leave. So I understand where he's coming from. Like he's getting me motivated over here.
Yeah. No, I'm just like people forget what this is, man. This is a tough guy sport. Are you or aren't you? Like like let's get that. Like I said, I've been fortunate enough to be around the baddest man on the planet. I've been in rooms where there's no badder men. I can say that with my honest heart. And like they're all down for the get down. It doesn't matter what you're doing. They're playing for keeps every fucking time. That's a nerve. That's a callus. Like active. The thought of not fighting, it like infuriates them. You know what I'm saying? Like the thought of not competing. It's not
yeah,
that like
Yeah.
uh, most people that actually really make it have a personality where it's like there's like a coach or somebody like trying to like hold a pit bull back because they're just foaming at the mouth and they're having to look to somebody else to be like, hey, no, no, no. Like that's the thing I tell a lot of these kids. You say yes to everything, and I'll be the one to say no.
yeah, yeah,
uh,
yeah. Well,
yeah.
well, we've definitely seen that out of the young guys that are coming out of HB Fight Club, man. The fight team that you've created there, all quality guys, all have looked good in the Lions Den. All of them have either challenged for a title or come close to it. With the exception of Caden, who we've only had twice, but he's looked good both times.
Hey,
I
you
wanted to
mark
talk
my
to
words on my boy Caden. You mark my words on my boy Caden. I
he's
swear,
good.
yeah, kids, good man. You haven't seen it yet. All these kids are sneakily good, and they're starting to figure it out, man.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So,
And
so let me
Marco,
ask you something. Oh, you
I
good?
was
No,
just saying Marco Granado's in here showing some love to Johnny. So big shout out to Marco Granado. That's Gator Granado's family member there. Go ahead, Gary.
No, I was saying like, as far as like your background in martial arts, mixed martial arts. What was the first thing that you started off on that got you so into this?
all right. So I started taekwondo at 7 years old.
Mm.
Started taekwondo. Taekwondo. But back in the '90s, Taekwondo was actually like there wasn't MMA or anything. Like these point karate and these Taekwondo tournaments, like kids were getting KO'd. It was. I'm not trying to say it was MMA, but like for kids, like 7, 8 year olds just kata. I mean, this shit happened, bro, all the time. So I started compete when I literally like I said, like I told my dad I wanted to do it, and I was there for a couple months. And there's like a little flyer, like you want your kids to compete, and from 7, I did that all the way up until high school till I started to play football, But all growing
Oh,
up, yeah, all growing up, I did martial arts, point karate. I did the Junior Olympics. Went to Canada, competed in that shit. That
Wow.
was fun.
yeah.
But so I always kind of knew I knew how to fight, but like Taekwondo is Taekwondo. But a
Yeah.
couple times just in life, I became confident that I know how to throw my hands. You know.
And
and
and you mentioned football, Johnny. Gary's actually a football guy. We actually went to the same high school. He played there, and now he's coaching. Kind of let me know, what position were you playing in football?
dude, I was a really small D end, but I was fast. We actually played for. We're one of like we won all CF. Went to Orange Lutheran, a big private school here in the area. So I
Mhm.
actually went to Orange Lutheran. We won CIF my senior year. Just cool to be on such a big team. Like having games on TV and shit in high school. And
Yeah.
yeah, I was a defensive end. It was fun, man. All special teams.
Was when you played football or for a short period of time or whatever, was it that physicality that drew you into it? Because they always say to play football or to do combat sports, you have to be wired a certain way because it's a very violent sport.
Oh yeah, I'm very not like I'm not like a good anything other sport other than contact stuff.
Yeah,
Just like I was a really good defensive end in high school. Just because defense is easy, man. Like in the sense, I don't have to catch the ball, I don't have to do anything. I have to contain and attack, contain, attack. As long as you get that done,
yeah.
eat. You know what I'm saying? Just eat. Football was
Hmm.
fun. Like football was so much more like it was such a fun game. Fighting is not fun. Fighting sucks. Football was fun.
Fighting sucks, but I mean, you've spent your entire career doing it, and now you're coaching and teaching people how to fight, and also helping out with the community using it. What's gotten you so kind of addicted to this life?
Man, I've been. I knew I was a good instructor. I've been coaching, or like I don't know. So basically, I turned pro really young. I turned pro when I was like 20 years old because that was like all
Mhm.
there was. So like I was already kind of coaching people by the time I was like 24, 25. You know what I'm saying? Like having young guys like, come on, come on. Like the whole reason we call my gym HB Fight Club, it all started as like me and all my friends, like, dude, back in the day, like there wasn't practice. There's no such thing as like not a lot of gyms had like practice. You had
Yeah,
you had
I've
a
heard this.
you had an MMA gym where basically you had mats and bags and stuff, and people would go train, and it was up to you to make your friends and make your friends. Hey, man, you want to come on Tuesday and beat the shit out of each other? Okay, cool. Like like it was up to you to make like your own thing, and then what would happen is somebody special. Like I first started when I first like was like 19. I started just because I walked into a gym and Rampage was sparring, and I said I'd spar him, and they're like, "All right, well, you're part of the fight camp. Just let this guy beat the shit out of
Wow,
this young kid."
wow.
I get a gym membership out of it. I get to get in there and spar. I mean, I'm talking Rampage Jackson. Like, I remember helping Rampage fight get ready for Chuck. It was super weird. Like, just being young around that.
Oh
That
my
that boy
God.
beat the shit out of me. That's just what you had to do, man. Nicest guy ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Quentin, nice dude, super funny, super kind. Would beat the shit out of me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, he also has a bit of a size advantage over you, I would imagine as well. Am I right? I mean, you didn't fight at 205 or 185 or whatever he did you?
No, but back in the day, like even now, or especially back in the day, like all that shit when it came to training partners and stuff didn't matter.
Yeah.
Did like is teams are so small that like, hey, y'all, you're gonna get a couple rounds in with everyone. You have to.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, do you think the way they train now is worse or better than when you guys were back then, training just straight up anybody?
No, I mean, there's a lot of things that they do smarter. They do a lot smarter, like in a lot of smart. They train like for prevention and stuff, but like to completely neglect one nerve, like probably the most important nerve is to like teach these kids how to fight. Teach these kids how to fight. Like more, like that's more than technique is above all, but technique without knowing how to fight doesn't mean shit. Like you have to instinctually. There are some kids that I've seen people that are phenomenal. I mean, the mitts, the pretty, they just can't fight. They're almost too focused on perfection and forget. Like I keep on telling, like whenever they go to fight, like right before the fight, I'm like, hey man, you need to remember, like rely on your training, rely on your skills, but the only thing that matters in there is you beating his ass. Like only thing that matters is you beating his ass. I don't care if it looks pretty. I don't care like rely on your training, go to that. But like if you're not beating his ass at the moment, you're not achieving the goal.
Yeah.
Like you know what I'm saying? You have to learn that nerve, and especially at the amateur level, if you kind of figure out these kids, like that's the big separation. So many of these kids just don't know how to fight yet. That's really what like separates like a kid like Milshon. Milshon's talented. He's very talented. He's very skilled. He has the world to grow. Like in the sense of there's no way to predict how high he can make in this thing. He's one of those type of kids.
Yeah.
But he is just now. It's not skills. It's not that anything's different. He's now really figuring out how to fight. And that's a completely different nerve than just the jabs and the crosses, the kicks and all that shit.
Yeah.
He's trying to figure like in fighting isn't aggression. It's that weird, you know what I'm saying? That like
you know better than us, bro. You gotta describe it for the layman out there.
like these good guys, like it's not like some of these kids get trapped in the idea of war. They want war, or they get trapped in an idea of like clean. Like I want to look like they get trapped in an idea of it wants to look like. But like what they need to understand is like it's hard to describe this, but like super simple. Like it needs to be very predatory, in like a natural sense of like predatory is also timid and aggressive. Like think of any prey, anything like that. Like a lion will never fight a bull on its horns. It's gonna attack, prod, retreat, prod, retreat. A lot of its aggression is based on its retreat. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like
yeah,
I'm gonna.
I got you.
Huh?
I liked it.
I say
You know what I'm saying? I'm like part of its aggression is its retreat because it's not losing focus. It's understanding that I'm not trying to fight this thing. I'm trying to kill this thing. That's a different mindset. I'm not trying to fight you. I'm trying to kill you. Which kill you means I'm trying to inflict a lot of damage and receive none. But it's that.
Yeah.
It's very primitive, but it's very predatory. Like predatory is patient. You have game plan. You're aggressive, but you're tentative. It's in kids a lot, and it takes them a while to figure that out. Is how to really tap into that. Like so much of them are just war, or so much of them is like they just want to be Slick Rick. It's that in between that they need to find. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Is it kind of like you're saying, kind of like? Are you kind of like saying, like, kind of like it's the mental way of figuring out somebody and figuring what they, I'm trying, like something like that is what you're talking about, like kind of like knowing how to fight each opponent?
it's not just fighting each opponent, just learn how to fight. Like, it's such a nerve. Like, that's why guys get better when they get older. That's the shame of the sport, is guys don't get, like, imagine if you put the maturity of like a 27, 28-year-old fighter in like a 22-year-old fighter. You know what I'm saying? The reason that fighters get better is because they get more skilled, they have more, but they also have more ring time. They have more fight experience. They have all that. Like that really, really adds up to knowledge. That's why I think, like, for them, this amateur thing, like, they should be fighting as much as possible amateur, just to, like, this is free knowledge. This is free knowledge that you can soak up, because if you ever want to go pro, you're gonna enter a world where you can't press erase. You know what I'm saying? Like, what you do in amateur doesn't matter. If you're gonna lose, get it done now. Get it done now. This is the only part where you can press erase. When you go pro again, you are 0-0.
Yeah.
You figure that shit out pro, guess what? That loss goes with you the rest of your career. You know?
Yeah.
So, like, you know, have your toughest opponents now. Cross your hardest bridges now. If you have any aspirations to go anywhere in this on, like, a bigger level, really check your boxes now. Because, like I said, like, you can figure out, like, even if you lose, okay, we go back to the drawing board, figure out how to deal with, like, especially from, like, an MMA standpoint. Like, if you're an MMA kid, like, hey, there's some D1 wrestlers in that amateur circuit. Go fight them right now. Fight them right now. See if you can figure that out, because pretty soon, if you go pro, all of them wrestle like that.
Yeah.
And there is no erase. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no stepping back now.
Yeah. I wanted to say, you know, you were talking about how to be predatory, how to fight, and you were saying that Milshawn just kind of figured it out. Man, I'll say, I mean, because he really looked like he was just trying to kill. He was in kill mode in that last fight, Johnny. I mean, you know, Gary, you know, sitting over there smiling because he thought Milshawn was going to win the fight. He predicted Milshawn to win the fight. He likes his style. I thought it was a bit of a pick'em fight. You know, I wasn't sure who was going to win. I thought it was 50-50. You know, but Milshawn, to me, just, especially coming off the surgery and everything he had been through, just looked to be at a completely different level physically and mentally. And, you know, earned you guys your first Fighters Rep title, you know, in that fight in devastating fashion. I mean, something like 20 seconds. Kind of like, tell me about that, man, because, you know, that was a special performance by him.
I mean, honestly, it was a special performance, but it was the performance that we talked about. I mean, all he did was just shoot a shot and made it. Like, this wasn't. I told him, we discussed that he's going to go out there and he's going to hurt him in the very beginning. And once you hurt him, then you back off. You establish. You just let someone with those type of, like, explosion, like, for him to throw those type of kicks or something like that, he needs to be comfortable to get close. You know. You go out there and you hurt him and you let him know that there are serious consequences for entering this zone. And once you establish that, like, quickly, whack, and then establish that, then back off. Well, he stuck to the game plan, and we didn't realize that him establishing that would drop him. And then from there, like, hey, man, if someone's hurt and you have an opportunity, you're not getting paid by the minute. Any opportunity you have to end that, you end it immediately. And that's exactly what he did. He saw he was hurt and went there and did it. I mean, good job. Good boy. You did it right. You know what I'm saying? Like, how you're supposed to do it. Let's just do it again.
Yeah.
That was the one.
I mean, go ahead, Gary.
Yeah, I like what you said. He's hurt, you end him, because that was on another topic when I watched the Devin Haney fight recently, and he had the guy hurt multiple times, and he never went to finish it. And I like your thought process. Like, why keep going? Finish it off.
You have to. There's too many, like, any opportunity that you have to end a fight. And I'm not, that's like where the regulation of, like, energy conservation and stuff like that comes into play. But, like, you at least need to take a quick opportunity on it, because when someone's hurt, it honestly doesn't take much to get them out of there. Like, that's the whole thing. Like, they're already on the edge. All you need to do is just tap them over. So get on the pedal and go tap him over. Like, don't you nearly swing for the fences. He's already hurt. Just put 2 on his chin and watch him fall.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. But
Yeah.
like you said, you also have to be kind of timid, right? Because sometimes these guys, when they hurt, they'll just throw like a wild strike, or that's when they're most dangerous sometimes too. So you kind of got to be tentative, right?
Oh, I tell my boys all the time, when people start getting powerful and wild, that's the death rattle. You like that. You want that. Once they
Mhm.
start getting powerful and wild, that's the death rattle. That's what an animal does when it's dying and wants you to leave. It starts getting crazy and wild. And you just keep on pride and defense first, pride, and just that's only gonna last. She's bleeding out.
Yeah,
Let it,
yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like, let it go. Like, when they start getting powerful and wild, you don't want to stop it. You want to like aggravate it. Jab, move, jab, move, jab, move. Oh, look, it's acting dumb right now. That's like what people do when they start, like, their body starts,
Yeah.
when, you know what I'm saying?
yeah, yeah.
It's
No,
a
it
Yes.
makes
natural reaction.
I
it makes
totally
a
get
lot.
it.
Makes
Yeah.
a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense. Johnny, you also, I love that you're saying jab, move. I feel like there really is a deep game plan with your guys. There is an emphasis on boxing. Your guys always have very good boxing, very good striking. You're an MMA fighter, but you also took a boxing match professionally. But I mean, did you do any kickboxing fights? I mean, what's making HB Fight Club gravitate so much towards kickboxing? It's interesting to me.
Well, I'm a black belt under Rafael Cordero, and he's like the lord of Brazilian Muay Thai.
Ah,
I've always gravitated towards that. I've always been a striker. I come from a martial arts background. I'm really just a believer. I'm a no holds bar believer in striking, like, in the sense of that's Muay Thai, that's everything. Like, the art, the pugilism, the art of just inflicting blunt force trauma, man, is, that's that's um
Oh,
yeah, yeah. I love it. I
uh,
love it, man.
so,
And
but
how'd you
kickboxing
feel?
represents that the most in my
Yeah,
opinion.
yeah. And how'd you feel collecting that first belt, man? I mean, I feel like it's the first one with Fightersrep, at least in a long line. But how did it feel to get that belt and to watch Milshawn collect that belt? Because I know you couldn't corner him. You were out in Tennessee, I think it was.
Yeah, I was in a wedding, couldn't do the whole cornerman thing. I mean, honestly, very proud of the kid. I am proud of the kid and stuff, but like I said, like, when they do these things, when they're there, I love these guys. I love these boys. They're awesome. But you go bring me back my belt. Like, what are we doing? Go get it. Like they're doing what's expected. They're doing what's expected. They train hard. They train hard. I know they train when they're getting ready for a fight. You can't, like, I don't care what you're doing 90% of the time. Go live your life. But if you tell me a fight, I talk to you. I talk to another promoter. I put my name saying this person will show up ready to fight, on weight, ready to
Yeah.
go. Now you're not dealing with you. You're dealing with me. They called me. They talked to me. When they say blank and blank from HB Fight Club, I take that shit super seriously. So, like, they will train. They will be ready. Like, at that point, all you got to do is go out there and perform. As long as they go out there and perform, there's really no reason to lose at that level. It's just a
Yeah.
matter of just performing.
And the boys have been very professional and in every aspect, and I really appreciate that as a promoter, for sure, man, for sure. And I'm really glad I got to talk to you today, man.
Yeah.
Milshawn, it looks like a special athlete to me, man. That's another thing I want to ask you about. I mean, you played football, you know what an athlete looks like, and Milshawn also indicated he's played football too. I'm sure the combination of technique and now kind of the mentality of a fighter coming together, plus that athleticism, has really helped him along as well, I would imagine.
No, Mills is I mean, I've told him, this kid came to me in the pandemic, and, like, right in the pandemic, had nothing to do, and that was when a lot of things were shut, and he just wanted to come and start training. He started to spar with me right off the bat. And, like, I'm nice to him for a while, but pretty soon you start whacking this kid because you got sick of getting whacked, and you can tell he's one of those kids. Just it's there's different pop, there's different tightness in the tendons. You know what I'm saying? Some people have that follow through, that leverage, like he's born into a bracket that if he really, the more he pursues it, I mean, look, when I talk about Milshawn, I mean, I can't tell you where the future is because it could be.
Yeah.
Could be.
Mhm.
I don't know. I've seen that type of power. I've seen that type of speed. Only special people possess it. You know, so what happens with it happens with it. I'm rooting for the kid. I love him. I think, trust me, I just can't. Time will tell, but I promise you, just keep on watching. Keep on watching. Like it's one of those kids that like I can just tell. Keep on. Have the faith and watch, and he'll prove it.
And he seems very confident in that right hand. He's very confident in that right hand. That win.
Oh, dude. Yeah, the right hand's just a God gift, especially guys like him. Long, skinny guys, long shoulders, long arms. You don't understand. That's what like Deontay Wilder, stuff like that. It's the same build.
Yeah.
Same, all that. Their long extension right hand, because it's not just the extension of the right hand, it's the extension of the shoulder, that back muscle behind it.
Yeah.
It hits, man. It hits. I promise he's gonna hit his next fight. You watch. Everything's when you watch Milshawn fight, it's not a matter of if he lands the right hand, it's just when and how that person reacts to it.
I see.
Because it's gonna happen. That's a guarantee. That's something he's working on now. That's something he's believing in. And then, man, somebody that believes in something is a man you got to be afraid of. Like knocking somebody out, like I would say about 30% comes from faith.
Yeah.
Do you ever get concerned that you know, when somebody has power like that, did they get too caught up in just like I got this power? Because I heard fighters say like, you know, I got to a point where I just relied on it too much.
No, because I'll beat the shit out of him and show him that No,
I love it, man. I love it. You know, and for everybody out there, you know, in Knucklehead Nation, you know, please subscribe, give Johnny a follow on Instagram, follow the team, HB Fight Club, follow Milshawn, follow Johnny. What I did want to say was, you know, of course.
Honestly, though, the most frustrating part where I am now is these boys are starting to hurt me in a bad way. Like, it's crazy to see your days numbered. Like, it's weird. The proudest moments I get is like, I'm like, dude, these kids, hey, man. Hey, buddy. I'm an old man now. Like, I love it. I love it. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
That's a good thing. But he's come up so much, and he goes like, that's the whole thing. Like, I'll have him go like every once in a while. I'll make a call to a lot of my old buddies, and bring like a field trip for these boys, and they get to experience what it's like to play for keeps with that real deal shit. And they all come back a little rattled. They all come back a little beat up. They all come back a little better for it. Like, it's a good. That's the problem with old school. Old school used to do that shit twice a week. You know, like, and that's just bad for you. You get super tough, but you also get stupid.
Yeah.
You know? You get tough as nails. Like, all those old school guys, like, I would like to say the guys that I like to came up with, all the one thing we share in common is like we're stupid but tough. Like, tough. 10 times tougher than these new athletes. Just factually. Like, the fact of like the reason people pull out of fights and shit now, like all the old school guys are like, huh? You what?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
For sure.
Like, okay. Like, just dumb. Like, it was a much more tough guy sport, but it's weird. Like, there's so little money in it. That was the only reason people did it, was just to be tough guys.
Yeah. No, I get it. What I wanted to say, though, is Fightersrep tickets to Fightersrep 21 and 22 are now on sale at Fightersrep.com. If you can't make it, you could also watch the live stream and get that on Fightersrep.com, or just join the YouTube channel. I'm really excited for Milshawn's upcoming fight, defending his light middleweight title, Johnny. He's taking on Rudy Cuevas, who looked very good, very sharp in his last fight. I think this is going to be a great fight, man. I mean, do you have any thoughts on this fight at all, or
Yeah,
have you not
yeah,
really started?
this is gonna be, it's gonna be, like I said, you gotta prove it, Mills, because this kid's tough, man. This kid's tough as shit. It's your job to go out there and prove it. And I mean, I believe he can, but this is one of those ones that, like, if he doesn't show up, it's gonna be a long night.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know?
yeah. And
So, but
immediately after the fight, Rudy Cuevas messaged the Fighters Rep account referring to the Milshawn knockout with like a little emoji of like a hand write like a pencil writing on a paper and a face going like this, like I'm studying this guy and I want this guy. So I was just
good.
like, man, I really like this attitude from both of these guys, from Milshawn and from Rudy. I think it's going to be a fantastic fight, man.
No, it's gonna be a great fight. I mean, the kid looks tough. Kid looks good.
Yeah.
It's the complete opposite match of his last kid. Like, this kid's just a grinder and in your face. I mean, yeah, you got to bring a bat to take this kid out. So, I just, all we gotta do is get Mills ready and let him go, and then it's all on him, man. He's the man. I believe in him, and he just needs to go out there and perform. But does he have the skills to do exactly what he did last fight to this fight? Of course he does.
Yeah.
Like that's just like, of course he does.
No,
he
Johnny,
can
man,
go prove that again. How the fight plays out, we'll find out.
Johnny, you should have seen it. You should have seen it in person, man. I mean, he just, I'm sitting there ringside watching these guys, and he just flew across the ring and just, I mean, the performance was unbelievable to watch in person, man. He was just like, I told him, you look like a jaguar in there. You look like a freaking, like a lion, dude. Like, he was so fast. He was so aggressive, and it was really impressive to watch. Johnny, man, I really appreciate your time, man. Anything you want to say, anyone you want to shout out before we let you go, and thank you so much for your time, bro.
Yeah, absolutely. HB Fight Club, come check us out. Come train. Hey, if you're in the area, just want to get some rounds in, have some fun, we're always more than welcome to have people over. Fighters Rep, check them out. Kickboxing is a shit. It's going to take over. We never talked about that, but it has no choice but to be the future. It's the best sport out there, man. Come on.
I agree, man.
Yep.
Yeah, man. Good talking to you.
Well, thank you so much. Hey, we got to do this again, Johnny, man. I really appreciate your time, bro.
Hey, yeah, I want to pick your brain on a lot of things because I like your mentality.
Anytime, man. Hit me up.
Yeah.
All right,
thank you, Johnny. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you.
All right. That was good, man.
Man. Johnny's a cool guy, and that gym is, he started that gym, and he does a lot of work for the community, man. I mean, I think there's always like people with like Parkinson's and older people in their training, and he's helping them out, and he's just a really genuinely good person, and he also happens to be a killer mentally. I mean,
killer. You can listen to him talk, and like, hey, he will fuck you up. Like he will probably get joy out of it. That's the difference between, like, when you go with different sports and things and people's mentality. Like, certain people's mentality in these contact physical sports, they're just wired different. And
yeah. I agree.
That's why some of them have trouble turning it off.
I agree, man. I agree. So, Gary, I wanted to touch real quick on this event. It's going down on Saturday, right? On to the next segment of the show. It's going down on Saturday. It's called Day of Reckoning, I believe it's what they're calling it. This event that's happening in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. And you've got basically some of the best heavyweights and just some of the best fighters all around competing on this card, Gary. And I wanted to do a little rundown of the fights and, some predictions just to see what you think, and to give our thoughts on the fight. So let's go through them here one by one. Before we do that, guys, be sure to subscribe, like this video, and comment in the comment section below. Of course, always feel free to buy some merchandise. Your tickets at Fightersrep.com for Fightersrep 21 or 22, and show some love with a super chat. So, the big one on the card is Anthony Joshua versus Otto Wallin. I'm thinking this is going to be the main event. What are your thoughts on this fight, Gary?
It's going to end like all Wilder fights end. I mean, I don't really see Otto Wallin.
Anthony Joshua versus Wallin.
I'm sorry, I said the wrong thing. I was thinking of Deontay Wilder. I will say the same thing. Is that Anthony Joshua? I still think he's gonna knock Wallin out. I think Wallin will give him a little problems, but I think he'll knock him out. This is a good fight to get him prepared for Wilder because Wallin. I mean, he's a pretty good fighter. I don't really see him as having the power to really hurt Joshua like we've seen in the past. He's a good boxer, but he's not Usyk. And so I think Anthony Joshua gets him out of there around like maybe 7 again, around there.
Yeah.
That's my pick.
So I mean, you think Joshua gets this guy out of there who Fury couldn't get out of there? I mean, remember this guy went to a decision versus Fury.
I think Fury was a different boxer that fight. Even his dad called him out on that fight. And I don't think Fury was sitting down on his punches at that point, really trying to get people out of there until he fought Deontay Wilder again and everything. He started doing more, coming forward, being more aggressive. But I don't think he was the Tyson Fury that we seen at his peak when he fought him.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think this is a good fight. I agree with you. It's a good fight for Joshua to kind of see where he's at. I think it's a good test for him right now, coming off sort of lackluster performances lately. And I think this is a bit of a step up from the last guy he fought. I think it was Robert Helenius. I don't know if I could see him stopping. I could see him stopping Wallin. But I can also see Wallin lasting the distance here. And even I think he's a live dog. I think he's got a chance for an upset. Now, if I'm going to make a prediction.
Yeah, you think so?
I do. If I'm going to make a prediction, I'm going to say it's a late stoppage for Anthony Joshua. That's what I'll say, right? A late stoppage or a decision for Anthony Joshua. But if Wallin gets the win here, man, I wouldn't be surprised, because Wallin, I feel like still has more of an at this juncture has more of an identity than Anthony Joshua. Man, I feel like Anthony Joshua lost himself since that Ruiz fight. He doesn't really have a style, and I think against a guy like Wallin, who's a bit of a pretty technical guy as far as boxing, and is willing to get in there and fight you the way he showed against Fury. I think it could be. I think it could be dangerous. He's also 6'6". Like, this is not a small guy, Gary. 6'6". He's young. He's 33 years old. He's got good experiences. He's only had one loss versus Tyson Fury, which a lot of people felt like that fight, should have been stopped with that big old cut that he put over Fury's eye. And he's rattled off. Let's see here, 6 wins in a row since that loss. So the guy's got decent momentum against decent competition. Again, I still think Joshua's the favorite, but I can see this guy being a real banana peel for Joshua, man.
I mean, if it is, I'm gonna hate you. But but no, I just think that we still forgetting. Like, I don't think people give enough credit to Anthony Joshua's power, because we used to Wilder, and that's just crazy, stupid, dumb power.
Spoiled us.
Yeah, but Anthony Joshua has power. You're not gonna, and if he comes forward and tries to get rough with him like he did Tyson Fury and tries to really mix it in with them, he can get hit with a shot. That's why I picked maybe like around the 7th round. He gets him up out of there, because it only takes a shot. Remember, he dropped Andy Ruiz even though he lost that fight. He still dropped him. And you seen Dillian White. He put bombs on Dillian White. And so even the power he did, we forget when Klitschko looked like he took his head off. Like he had
Yeah.
his whole neck extended. You know what I mean? The guy has power. Now, I get what you're saying. He's a different type of fighter, and he's trying to figure out how to be what it looks like, how to be a better boxer.
Yeah.
But that power ain't go nowhere.
Yeah.
You see, he knocked it was Hellenius he knocked out last with the right? Yeah.
Yeah. I think it was like in the 5th round. I mean, but Hellenius had bloodied his nose, and Hellenius is way past it, Gary. So I'm excited to see this fight, man. I mean, I'm with you. Late stoppage. I don't know about round 7. I could see that happening, but I would say something more like a round 9 or a 10. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. It seems like we're pretty much in agreement there. I just probably think he's got more of a chance than most people, just because he's scrappy. This guy's scrappy and he's down.
Nah, he is scrappy. Yeah, he is scrappy now. Yeah.
Then in the co-main, it looks like we've got Deontay Wilder versus Joseph Parker. Also an interesting little matchup. It's an interesting little matchup. Joseph Parker is a former champion himself as well. Tell me what you think about this fight.
Yeah, I think with sorry about that. I think with Joseph Parker, I think Wilder gets him out of there like he does everybody, and I don't think it's a long fight at all.
Yeah.
I think I don't. I really think like maybe 3rd round he gets him out of there because Wilder's getting better with that jab and coming in and hiding the punch and everything. He's getting a lot better. So, I mean, I think by the 3rd round he's out of there.
Wow. I was thinking 5 or 6. You get him out of there. Joseph Parker is a tough guy. He's a guy who beat Andy Ruiz in the past when he was a champion in a very controversial fight, but he did get the decision against Andy Ruiz. And, he did lose against Big Joe Joyce, who doesn't have the right hand that Wilder does, but Wilder's also not as big and imposing as Joyce. I'm interested in this fight too. If Parker shows up really sharp, he could potentially, listen, anyone could potentially outbox Deontay Wilder, especially Joseph Parker. But I don't see him getting away from that right hand over the course of 12 rounds, man. I don't see it. So I'm with you. Maybe the 5th round. You say 3, I say maybe 5 or 6. He's out of there.
You say 5 or 6. I mean, he got the last. Well, he went 1 round last time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not. I mean, you never know with him. You never know when that drops. You never know when that punch drops. I just feel like Wilder's just so fast and long, and like I said, he's getting better. You can see like him setting up that punch. He knows he has to set it up a little more because everybody's looking for it. Everybody's like, all right, here it comes. Like, watch out for it. Try to, circle away from it and things of that nature. So he had to start getting more clever with how he was going about it. And I think he did. I think he got better.
Yeah. Well, then we have Dimitri Bivol taking on Lyndon Arthur, who's a decent fighter, but I just think Dimitri Bivol is on another level, man. This is the guy that beat Canelo. So I just think, this is a guy who's, good enough to challenge for a title, but not really good enough to beat Bivol, if I'm being honest with you. And then we've got a couple. Go ahead.
No, I think he stops him.
Yeah. And then we've got a couple, other good fights that I'm interested. I mean, Filip Hrgović is fighting as well. He's a heavyweight that I could see fighting one of the top dogs soon. He's been moving along pretty nicely. He's fighting a guy named Mark Demori, who I think, is also going to get stopped and beat up. And then Daniel Dubois is fighting Jarrell Big Baby Miller, which I think is interesting.
I'm a fan of Big Baby. This is a step up a little bit, I would say, in competition for him. I mean, he's been kind of off the rails lately on Twitter and stuff. But didn't he? What just happened with Tim? Didn't he get arrested or something? Or what was that?
He's been popped for all kinds of. I mean, he was taking all kinds of PEDs when he fought, or when he was supposed to fight Anthony Joshua. Remember, and then they canceled the fight. So I don't know how I feel about this guy, man. he probably can beat Daniel Dubois, who, if you remember, is the guy that just lost to Usyk.
Yeah, I know you're talking about.
But Dubois got
That's what
some
I'm saying.
power.
Let's step up in competition. It's a real guy you're getting in there with, you know.
Dubois got
And
some
he got
power.
wobbled. Who was that? He got wobbled off by in his last that's his last fight, right?
Big Baby?
Yeah.
He fought that big Australian guy.
Yeah. He got and he wasn't even in his prime anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Big
but he got hurt in that fight. And Dubois can punch, you know, so he got wobbled in that fight. So this will see where he's at.
Yeah, no, for sure. And then we have also on the card Frank Sanchez, the Cuban Flash, taking on Junior Fa, who used to be a Deontay Wilder sparring partner. I think Sanchez gets it done here. And then we have a couple more fights. There's a title fight between Jai Opataya and Ellis Zorro. I don't know much about Zorro, but I know Opataya. He's a guy.
I don't know.
Opataya looks good. He's a guy coming up from I think it's Australia or somewhere like that, New Zealand or Australia. He looked good in his last fight. He won the IBF cruiserweight title, and now he's defending it. And then we have Arslanbek Makhmudov versus Agit Kabayel. It's an 8-round heavyweight fight, which I also think should be exciting because I think Kabayel's not a bad fighter, man. He beat Derek Chisora a while back, but he's just not really been going after it. You know what I mean? He's kind of just I think he's in Germany just coasting, taking it easy. I don't know what he's doing out there. If I were him after that win, I would have tried to capitalize, but he hasn't really. But listen, this is a fun event, man. This is an event we should watch, man. I feel like we might need to get together and have a beer and watch this one, man.
I hear you, man. Let's see if you do it.
I'm waiting on those ribs, man. This might be the time, bro.
Hey.
But anyway.
Hey. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was gonna say. I mean, that's pretty much all I've got, man. We got that done in under an hour, Johnny.
Yeah, I gotta go ahead and get out of here.
Yeah. But hey, great talking to you again. We'll do this soon, bro.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, guys.